The one true donut. It is Resurrections from Celeste by Lena Rain. We get all that out of the way. Hey everyone. Okay, let me get chat over here. Bam. There we go. Make the chat box a little bit smaller. Da-da-da. Make sure you guys can see that all right. Hey everyone. Yeah, so the the direct live stream was kind of a wash. It you know, just kind of underwhelming overall. There were a few select titles in there that I thought were pretty cool, but yeah, I just felt kind of meh. But I had a lot of requests to take a look at the new MCDM offering for Arcadium 2. Well, it says Arcadia 2. Is it Arcadia or Arcadium? Is it Arcadia? And then I changed it? Come on now. Alright. I've got to fix that on YouTube before we can go any further, or else it's going to bug me. Bam. Okay. Title is correct. Yeah, so if you are one of MCDM's patrons, you can get this PDF over there on Patreon. And let's just start getting into this thing. Okay, so it's going to be a little brief. I'm going to do just a quick read through of, there's 4 different subclasses in here. These are all designed by Joshua Mendenhall. Starting out with what looks like the Order of Hibernation for the wizard. I guess I'm expecting some sort of a sleep-based wizard out of this. So, Order of Hibernation. Ceaseless winter winds howl as they tear across the pale landscape, eventually calming to a slight breeze as snow falls in the quiet and cold night. Blinding storms give way to moments of eerie calm and stillness. For some, the season is a time to huddle inside. Until such cold days pass, I am thinking so many of us here in America can completely sympathize with this subclass. But Wizards of the Order of Hibernation embrace both the chance for rest and the might of the winter storms. In their first lessons, these mages learn to store their potential, banking reserves of magic through repose. This practice bears furious fruit, where many see rest as the end goal. A wizard of this school can use the power of respite as a stepping stone to unleash the full fury of winter's wrath. Okay, so another surprise stream. Let me see, what's going to be easier for you guys to read might actually be if I do this. There we go. So, since this is a wizard, this is going to be a blind read-through. I haven't checked this out yet so far, but I've seen a lot of different subclasses that try and theme around sleep as an entire wizard type of like archetype. So I'm interested to see what they offer here. Restful Studies. Beginning when you select the school at 2nd level, you become more adept using your resting time. You only need a minimum of 6 hours in total downtime, including 4 hours of sleep, to gain the benefits of a long rest, and half an hour of downtime, or 3 hours of meditation if you're an elf, to gain the benefits of a long rest, and half an hour of downtime to gain the benefits of a short rest. Okay. So that does have, I think it's like arcane recovery for wizard. There is a benefit in that. The time you need to take this copy a spell into your spellbook is reduced by half. Wait, is that just blanket? Like, is that all spells? The time you need to spend to copy a spell into your spellbook is reduced by half. Okay. Are they getting anything else at 2nd level? They are. Oh, but not the gold. Okay. Huh, I guess that's... I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Additionally, at 2nd, 6th, 10th, and 14th level, you gain an additional hit die. These bonus hit dice do not affect your hit point maximum, but you can spend them during a rest or short rest to power certain features. These bonus hit dice are always regained alongside the normal number of hit dice you regain when you take a long rest. That's interesting. That's a brand new mechanic. I haven't seen anything quite like that before that influences hit dice. So, interesting. Okay. That is a nice perk. But it's more about your sleep and time and less about putting others to sleep. Okay. Huh. So, this is a nice perk. These hit dice for you are only going to be d6s. So, that is interesting. Um, it, okay, so this is recovery. This is something that for you is only going to take 30 minutes for you to get the benefits of. So I do think that that's actually really, really good, and it's going to be useful across all levels. Second, sixth, 10th, and so you're only gaining 4 additional hit die, and they're only d6s. It's still going to rely on your. It's not changing like your constitute, like at least yet so far. Um, yeah, I do think that overall this is going to be a pretty useful feature. Like useful and pretty freaking strong. Um, I think probably stronger than what we're used to seeing in the player's handbook, but no stronger than like Order of Scribes Wizard gets. So I would think if you're okay, I'll wait until I read the entire rest of the subclass before I get there. Just another thought: gorgeous artwork I keep seeing in every single Arcadia book, like super stylized. Like ah man, whoever's doing the layout work and just this is phenomenal. Wrathful Conduit. So this is their other second level feature. You can draw upon potential recuperation and turn it into immediate arcane power. When you expend hit dice using this feature, you don't regain hit points. You can wait. Using this feature, okay, you can only use one of the following options on a spell when you cast it. When you cast a spell, you can expend 1 wizard hit die to add it to cast it without any somatic or verbal components. Okay, that's nice. When you cast a spell that deals damage, you can expend any number of wizard hit dice to increase the total damage dealt by the spell by an amount equal to okay, the roll total of all okay. That is remarkably good. Like remarkably good. You're increasing the damage and sure like you're not going to regain these hit dice until, you finish a long rest. It is giving you a use for hit dice that some tables I know just don't always super track. But I think that this allowing you here at second level to, I mean, your cantrips. There's some cantrips that you're casting. Sure, it's only an average of like 3.5 damage. It is tied into the long rest. The thing to consider here is that yes, this is an extra resource that you now have 3 of. That effectively what you're doing is you can completely front load the damage of a cantrip. When you cast a spell that deals damage, I would say what this should do, like, it should probably be restricted to a first level or higher spell. Um, ugh. I like this idea, right? I like the idea of you being able to use your hit dice to fuel your spells. That feels kind of unique. But I don't really know what narrative that's getting across for this like hibernation wizard. Like it just seems like well, hit dice are usually something that you only use during rests. So now you can use them as a spellcasting source. Like I don't know, like the narrative of hit dice seems to be something that you can draw on like your natural recuperation. I don't know, I don't know, what's chat thinking? I mean, yeah, you are effectively upcasting Fireball. Like, to use a hit dice to make Fireball upcast at like 4th level effectively, that's seriously, seriously strong. I would kind of worry that might be a little too good. Um, I I'm hesitant to call it overpowered, but I think if I was to allow this at my tables, that might be one negotiation I'm talking to my player where I say I think that this might be just a little too strong. Um, yeah, that at least my first look, I think that that's just a little too good. Now, the other part of this, when you cast a spell that forces a creature to make a saving throw, you can expend one wizard hit die to increase the saving throw DC of the spell by, okay, only by one. Okay, I thought it was going to be a roll of the hit die for a second. I was like, whoa, okay. I'm okay with that. One wizard hit die to increase the saving throw of one. That's fine. I'm not super sure I'm following the through line of the narrative here, but that is really freaking good. Effectively thinking of that as like you increase your intelligence modifier or your intelligence score by 2 effectively for that casting of the spell. It is pretty strong. And I don't think that this is a fault of this subclass necessarily, as much as I think it's a fault of the narrative tied to hit dice. They are an interesting resource to use. How many bonus hit die does this subclass get? 4 total. The narrative to me seems to be that you can draw into your energy from resting to empower your spells. Yeah, and I always think about I think about what that's really getting across though. Like, what is hit dice really meant to be? And if it's just like this is representative of the natural healing that you do as a part of resting, then I think that that's a fault of the narrative of hit dice. I don't know that I always super agree with that for hit dice, but yeah. But can you use more than one hit die? This says you can expend any number of wizard hit dice to increase the total damage dealt, which I think is just too good. I think that's just a little too strong. When you cast a spell, you can expend one hit die to cast it without any verbal or somatic components. This is situational, but it is a very cool effect. You being able to cast it without having to talk or like move around or gesture means that you can cast them like while paralyzed now, I believe, without refreshing myself on the mechanic itself. But you can now cast these without needing to speak. I think that that's pretty fair. But it seems like the narrative of this overall is just that you're now fueling your spells with hit dice. So, yeah. I think of hit dice as a wellspring of energy. Okay, I can get behind that idea. I can. It's more like a second wind for every class, I feel. So, okay, Wrathful Conduit overall, I think that this would be actually extremely useful. The one thing I would probably reel back is just this right here. I think the ability to upcast, like even just thinking about Fireball, like the total damage dealt by the spell is, oof, man. I think that that's just a little too good for just expending one of your hit dice. It does make you squishier. It is going to make you a little bit more vulnerable whenever you're doing dungeon crawls, so do keep that in mind. Do you have to add them before you know you hit? When you cast a spell that deals damage, I would say in a situation like Fireball that's forcing other creatures to make the saving throw, therefore you put the condition on another creature, right? So I would say that I would argue that yes. Like the order of operations needs to be you cast the spell and expend hit dice as a part of casting the spell, and then you can increase the total damage, because that's putting the risk on you for doing that. I think that's the only way I could feel that feels really in line. Because it says when you cast, not when you hit, any number of hit dice on the second ability feels too strong. Yeah. Just say that you can only use one hit die for the damage that you can't deal 9th level fire. I would agree with that. Yeah. Being able to deal what's effectively the same damage as a 9th level fireball spell at 5th level, yeah, I do think that that's a little insane. And it is, I mean, you could go even further than that, right? I mean, you could upcast spells at what is potentially a 29th level spell, because it doesn't seem that there's a cap on this other than the hit dice that you have. So I think that probably needs to get toned down. Maybe even to just like, you can expend one hit dice here and then you can expend additional ones. Or like it can only be up to It can only be up to a level for which you have spell slots, right? So like up to 3rd level. If you have 3rd level spell slots, you can potentially cast one up as if it were a 3rd level spell. But it is only d6s. So yeah, 3.5 damage. Yeah. But overall, I think the other two features are really actually very useful. Winter Reserves. Starting at 6th level, you have learned to stockpile arcane energy and draw upon the power of this potential. As long as you have 3 spell slots remaining, you gain the following benefits. You have a +1 to saving throws. While you're not wearing any armor, you have a +2 bonus to AC, and you add the intelligence modifier to the damage you deal with any wizard spell? Okay, so flat damage is... Oh, captive proficiency. I would actually really agree with that. I would super agree with that. That would feel really good, actually. Cap it as you can only expend a number of these equal to your proficiency bonus, and I would feel that was actually pretty in line, or even half your proficiency bonus, and I feel like this would still be really good. Like, really good, but I think it would be way more in line. So, yeah, with Winter Reserves, as long as you have 3 spell slots remaining, you gain the following benefits. So if it's any wizard spell, and it doesn't say not cantrips, I believe this still applies to cantrips. Which suddenly this just became a really remarkable blaster. And I think with this, if it had just gotten the +1 bonus to saving throws and then the +2 bonus to AC, it would already be really good. Like, really good. But I'm looking at the narrative of it, right? You can stockpile arcane energy and draw upon the power of this potential. So you're holding on to these 3 spell slots, and as long as you have them, you get these benefits. Now, okay, 6th level wizard. So I don't think that this is that crazy. I think that this is probably a little too strong. I think that just being able to add your intelligence modifier to the damage you deal with any wizard spell, maybe if it included the text of cast at 1st level or higher, that way it wouldn't apply to cantrips. I'd feel a little bit more like cool with that. But I think this being able to apply to cantrips is something that I'm kind of not a big fan of. This class seems really strong, but I haven't really looked at the Scribe class yet. I've never played a wizard. The Scribe is just such a shenanigan heavy wizard. I love that subclass so much. But I think it is probably a little overtuned in comparison to some of the other wizards that are in like the player's handbook. The int damage is basically the Draconic Sorcerer feature, but on every damage type. Yeah. If it only applied to cold damage, that would even be like pretty interesting, right? And help out the narrative a little bit. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not feeling the narrative through line quite yet. My first impression, right, is that this right here, I would bring down to like it has to only apply to spells casted at 1st level or higher. I think that this is just way strong. The other effects of this, while you're not wearing any armor, you have a +2 bonus to AC as long as you have 3 spell slots remaining. So you're sacrificing a little bit of your spell casting resources in order to maintain this +2 bonus to AC. So you're cutting back on being a more effective wizard to get these benefits. These first two, I don't really mind. I don't really mind at all. They are good features, but do keep in mind that you are having to make sure that you don't use those other 3 spell slots. So I'm just going to highlight that. Let me do that. Bam. That might be a little bit easier to read. Okay, now you don't regain hit points. You instead use them. I do like the trade-offs that this is making you think of, though. I think one of the design strengths that we see in surprisingly a lot of wizards that you don't see in a lot of other subclasses is features that are making you consider what you're having to do, right? Like Evocation Wizard's Capstone is really great. Wait, is the intelligence damage once per spell or once per damage roll? Because Scorching Ray. With any, it would have to be. This would have to be only that casting of the spell. Yeah, it would need that text that says like to 1 damage roll of the spell, because otherwise, yeah, Scorching Ray, which I think would make this behave in a way that it's not intended to. I like the narrative a lot. It just I just think it should get the cap and remove the potent spell casting thing. Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah, but you know, it is making you hold on to these resources, and yeah, there's a bit of a trade-off there. I think that this is going to be really strong, but I would have liked to have seen it tied in somehow to this like winter narrative they were going for. Yeah, just somehow. Arcane Stitching. Beginning at 10th level, your stored arcane energy works to heal your wounds. If you start your turn when less than... let me do that. If you start your turn with less than half your maximum hit point value, and your Winter Reserves feature is active... Okay, let's highlight that. You regain hit points equal to your proficiency modifier. Okay, so at the start of your turn, less than half your hit point maximum. Okay. You don't gain this benefit if you have 0 hit points. Huh. So that part I actually think might be a little weak. You regain hit points equal to your proficiency modifier. Okay, so right here at 10th level, this is what, +4? Let me take a look. I should have just had the wizard brought up over here. Okay. So, +4 hit points that you get at the start of your turn if you have half of your hit point max. Okay. And this feature has to be active, so you can't have expended these 3 spell slots. I guess it's the thing, it is situational. You are going to keep replenishing these hit points, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. So if you do get majorly mangled in a fight, then this is going to be just natural healing that's going to bring you up to at least half your hit point maximum. And it does overcome the issue of you expending your hit dice to do other stuff with them. So like during that next short rest, you don't have to rely on as many. Okay, additionally, whenever you take a short rest, you regain the maximum number of hit points possible from any hit dice you spend. That is so good. That alone would have been a really great 10th level feature. And the regeneration that you get out of it, if you do get really mangled in a fight, then that is going to help out. So Arcane Stitching overall, yeah, as long as you are maintaining, like, okay, there's these 3 spell slots I can't spend, which as you grow in power as a wizard is going to mean less and less. So I think that this is okay. I mean, healing is okay, but you're a wizard. You don't want to take damage anyway. Right. If you're trying to prevent that, which it seems like your Winter Reserves feature is going to do pretty well for you anyways, but it's inevitable. This is D&D. You are going to take damage at some point. So I think that Arcane Stitching is okay. I don't see anything in it that makes me think that it's overall like exploitable, or anything that I think is pretty ridiculously powerful. The resource management is cool. I do like that it's making you consider your spell slot usage, your hit die usage, and all that stuff. I do like that kind of management aspect of the game. Wait, the damage once per... Okay, yeah, talked about Scorching Ray. Oh, see, this makes you... Right. 50% max all the time. It helps you. It's going to make sure that, like, out of combat, you're okay, which I'm pretty alright with. But that limits your 2nd level feature if you want to use it. Well, I think that this frees up your 2nd level feature for more use. because you're not going to be relying so much on your hit dice for regaining hit points during a short rest. And like I said, blind read-throughs, so I might like not always be considering some of these things like I do in a big deep dive. Yeah, I like how it ties the earlier abilities together with the later ones. Yeah, I like that it does build onto that. It's something that I try to encourage a lot whenever people are asking me homebrew questions. I'm like, do you have a really cool mechanic? Cool. Think about how you might be able to somewhat like limit it a little bit, and that gives you room for a later level feature that you can break that limit. So, yeah, overall arcane stitching, I think that it's a pretty great feature. Wrathbearer. At 14th level, your ability to hold and stockpile has taught you how to keep only what you need and to turn the rest into a surge of arcane force. Once per turn when you cast a spell, you can release a wave of energy using one or both of the following options. Okay, let's highlight that. So, only once per turn when you cast a spell. When you cast a spell, you can expend any number of wizard hit dice to push creatures away from you. Choose any number of creatures within 30 feet of you that you can see. Each creature must make a strength saving throw against your spell save DC or be pushed a distance in feet equal to the rolled result of the hit dice expended. Okay. When you cast a spell, you can expend a spell slot to deal damage to creatures around you. Choose any number of creatures within 30 feet of you that you can see. The creatures must make a Constitution saving throw against your spell save DC, taking 1d8 force damage per level of the spell slot expended on a failed save, or half as much damage on a successful one. So you can choose to do both of these, just as any part of casting a spell. So, like, okay, I want to make sure, because I'm just not really feeling the narrative of this one overall. It feels like a wizard that is going to be using hit dice just kind of as a resource, right? Which I'm all here for. I like that kind of experimentation. But I think there were other ways you could have woven a through line for the narrative with it. And okay, so you can do both of these. One or both of the following options. Okay. Any number of wizard hit dice to push creatures away from you. I'm just trying to make sure I have the right interpretation of this. Any number of hit dice. Okay. Let me just highlight all the important text here. Because I do think that this is really strong. But I don't know, maybe the thought being like winds of winter are what push them away from you. You can expend a spell slot to deal damage to creatures around you. So not only can you increase the damage with this, but you can increase the damage also here. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. My personal opinion on this is like I'm just not really seeing the great like the narrative through line for what this should be, right? Like if it's tied into hibernation and sleep and all that stuff, then like I think there was a way to drive that home. This hit dice resource expenditure could be really, really interesting. I think if you had just done Wrathful Conduit without the second level or the second part of it, or maybe had that limited a little bit into how many you can use. Because like that, I mean that limitation of, you know, the potential to do 24d6 damage on top of casting the spell with its base damage alone is remarkable. That is huge, huge, huge. So that would be my suggestion if I were giving feedback on this. Yeah, and let me highlight that text. So as to whether or not I would allow this on my tables, I would think that like if the player was cool with me nerfing this back a little bit, and oh man, I would honestly say you could even either make this only apply to a spell that deals cold damage, or just remove this entirely, and I would be pretty comfortable with winter reserves. I think if it just did those two things, I would be pretty okay with this at my tables. Um, Wrathbearer, I I don't know. Does anyone? Am I missing a part of the narrative here? I guess it's like Wrathful Winter. I'm just not sure why the Hibernation Wizard is like a really remarkable blaster. So that's my thoughts on that subclass. Yeah, and I mean, being able to push these creatures away, like, it's really awesome for positioning. You can also help your allies to make sure that, like, they don't take opportunity attacks. Um, the additional damage one, I'm just kind of, I don't know, I'm not sure I'm really seeing. The force damage, if that had been cold, I would at least feel like it roots it in a little bit more to this narrative. Yeah. But that's my thoughts. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in chat. Yeah, Winter's Fury. This subclass is striking the U.S. right now. No kidding. At least we're getting a little bit of snow melt happening here in Oklahoma. It's not just sleep. You're drawing on stockpiled energy. Like a squirrel stores its nuts, this wizard stores that energy. Okay, okay, okay. I can get behind that idea. Finger of Death would deal 14d8. Well, that's if you're... Wait, you'd have to expend an additional spell slot to do that, so I'm mostly okay with that. Um, yeah, I'm mostly okay with that, and I can see that idea. With Hibernation, and like, you're storing up this other spell slot, and you can cast it as a part of casting another spell, okay, that I can get behind. But I would say that I don't know, something should root it more, I think, because I don't think anything else really rooted it into the idea of like hibernation and like winter and all that stuff. But yeah, you're using it differently. Okay. Each subclass is seen to run one of the 4 seasons. This is supposed to be winter. The capstone is the clear winter theme. The only thing I'm really seeing out of that for like winter necessarily is like maybe you could say that this is a winter howl of wind pushing them away. This just blast right here, or force damage, is just like raw kind of arcane force. So yeah, it's okay, but oh, okay, it's just extra Nova damage. That isn't that bad. Yeah, it's another way for you to front load a spell. Zany, I disagree. They all focus on the same thing to make you manage resources. Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, you can just push people off of terrain and stuff, but like you could already do that with Warlock. So, yeah, positioning, especially pushing people, pushing creatures around like that, as long as it's tied into some kind of a saving throw, then I usually don't mind. Being able to push them that far is pretty remarkable, but that is at 14th level. So there's other spells that can already kind of do that effect, but this is just whenever you cast a spell. Okay, so I think that Wrathbearer, if it required that it had to be a first level or higher spell, I would be okay with that. If it were a first level or higher spell, that would feel pretty alright. But I think being able to do this on top of cantrips is what worries me. So, yeah, I think that Order of Hibernation is just a little overtuned. It needs to get pulled back just a bit. Just a bit. And then I would be pretty okay with that at my tables. I really think you're likely used to hit points being used like life essence or like blood magic instead of stored energy like used here. And I can get behind that idea. Yeah, I can. You get more of this resource. I get it. Oh, how do I want to phrase it? It's like I don't know that I was getting a whole lot of the winter feel necessarily out of it, but I can see the hibernation through line. You could yeet someone through a prismatic wall. I like the Warlock and Sorcerer in this book. Warlock is like a quasi-ranger. Yeah. I need to take a look at that. Okay, so College of Springtide, this is going to be for Bard. From the desolation of winter comes the rebirth of spring, the smell of rain and earth hanging in the air, the first blossom of green after the silent pale of winter, and the rushing waters of snowmelt. These tides of change teach bards to inspire and refresh their allies like rain, and wield power that crashes down upon their foes like a sudden squall. Like the spring from which they blossom, bards of the College of Springtide learn of endings and renewal, for no growth can come from a dead and overgrown place. But as their powers of rejuvenation swell, so does their talent for overwhelming force, like unstoppable floods brought by spring storms. Okay? So, I would probably get more of a feeling of hibernation if you played a certain amount of hit dice per short rest. Okay, gotcha. Okay. So, let me get a drink and then we'll go into this one. Okay. College of Springtide. Blooming Repertoire. When you join the College of Springtide at 3rd level, you approach each day with a new and reinvigorated mindset. After finishing a long rest, you gain proficiency in one skill and one tool of your choice. When you finish a long rest, you can change these proficiencies. Additionally, you learn the Cure Wounds spell. If you already know that spell, you can learn one other Bard spell of 1st level that you don't already know. The spell you learn doesn't count against the number of Bard spells you know. Okay. So this is going to be very healer-focused kind of a Bard. So these kinds of features like this that make you, like, Bard is already kind of a jack of all trades. Like, they've even got a feature called Jack of all trades. So, like, you getting proficiency in one skill isn't going to be a really ridiculously massive boost to, like, Bard's out of combat prowess, right? So this is actually kind of minor, and it's making you a little bit more flexible, a skill and a tool of your choice. Like, I'm pretty alright with that. When you finish a long rest, you can change the proficiencies, and then you get a free Bard spell. Like, just a free Bard spell. Like I said, generally really okay with that idea. And then they get a, well, it looks like their unique use for their Bardic Inspiration. Let's add that. This is all going to be purple. Spring Bard seems super cool. Phantom Rogue 3rd level ability is literally this ability without Cure Wounds. Oh, gotcha. Phantom lets you choose a proficiency as well for long rest. Yeah, and, like, I don't know that I'm always a big fan of that idea, but I don't mind it so much here because Bard is already super proficient in so many other things. This feels like a relatively minor skill monkey kind of a feature. So, Petrichor. Also at 3rd level, you learn to infuse your Bardic Inspiration with the calming aftermath of early rain. When you give a Bardic Inspiration die to a creature affected by an effect that a saving throw can end, the creature can immediately make a saving throw to end the effect. Okay. I do like, and this is actually something I was already kind of considering as a mechanic for the Dancer I'm working on. So, when you give a Bardic Inspiration die, just bam, that happens, and you can allow that creature to, it doesn't end the effect, it allows that creature to immediately make a saving throw against the effect again. I really do actually like this feature. I think this is going to be very useful. It's a very nice, slight power boost to what you can do with Bardic Inspiration. It does feel very unique, so I think that this one's actually really fantastic. Bam, there we go. Overall, very interesting and unique feature right there, so cool. Downpour Respite. Your presence is like a midday drizzle, refreshing your allies and disheartening your enemies. Beginning at 6th level, if you deal damage to a creature, the next time you cast Cure Wounds before the end of your next turn, you can cast the spell as a bonus action. Okay. Additionally, creatures that benefit from your Song of Rest regain additional hit points equal to your Charisma modifier. This is overall just really cool. I like, before, okay, the next time you cast a Cure Wounds spell, before the end of your next turn, you can cast a spell as a bonus action. So this is cool. This is very cool. And what immediately came to my mind was, let me pull this up over here. Metamagic Adept. Because if you can do Metamagic Adept and get Cure Wounds, is it only as a first level spell? I need to look at that again. If you can get Metamagic Adept and be able to do Cure Wounds at range, that looks pretty good. Like, really good, actually. Casting Hemo, and you can already basically do that with Divine Soul Sorcerer. It's a distant spell. Range of touch, you can expend it to make it 30 feet. So it's worth it for you to actually kind of consider, because Metamagic Adept is already a really good pickup for any spellcaster. Being able to do Cure Wounds as a bonus action at a range of, 30 feet, that would be really fantastic to build. So, if you deal damage to a creature, okay, I would say, hang on, I'm just thinking about the syntax here. Like, does this need to be reworded in any way? Beginning at 6th level, if you deal damage to a creature, the next time you cast the Cure Wounds spell before the end of your next turn, you can cast the spell as a bonus action. Okay, so it does have the condition. If you deal damage to the creature before the end of your next turn, okay. So you can do damage to a creature with a no, because then you can't. Okay, if you deal damage to a creature with, like, just say an attack, then you can cast Cure Wounds as a bonus action. There are ways that you can enhance that even further, like with Metamagic Adept. I think that this is that's a nice little bump to Song of Rest. Downpour Respite, I am going to give a purple. Overall, I'm really liking the College of Springtide. This is super nice. Storm Song. Your words bear down with the weight of the storm, growing in devastation, renewed by its persistent and monolithic nature. Starting at 14th level, once per round, when you or an ally within 60 feet of you scores a critical hit, or reduces one or more creatures to 0 hit points. Let me highlight that. You can use your reaction to regain a use of Bardic Inspiration. You can use this feature a number of times per day, equal to your Charisma modifier, and you regain all uses of this feature when you finish a long rest. Okay. So, this is only at 14th level, or this is at 14th level. Being able to use your reaction, no, it's, okay, 5% in some parties, 10% chance that this is going to trigger. Or just straight up reduces a creature to 0 hit points. So, only reason I'm going to change this, I need to say something, because this is Bag of Rats. This part right here reduces one or more creatures to 0 hit points. You can use your reaction. This is making it to where you can just regain Bardic Inspiration outside of combat if your party just straight up keeps killing rats. So, like, I think that needs to get toned down. That is something that I do consider an exploit for, like, any other class that I'm reviewing. So if it just had, like, scores a critical hit, I would already think that this is really good. Reduces one or more creatures to 0 hit points is, yeah, that, maybe if it was, I think it just needs to be scores a critical hit. I think that needs to be changed, because you can exploit that. It's at 14th level, but, like, no other subclass is able to regenerate Bardic Inspiration like this in combat that reliably. So it does have that exploit. I am going to say that it needs that change, and then I would be okay with it. Storm Song. Let's move that up to gray. Okay. But overall, College of Springtide, if you just made that one change to it, I would feel like this is super in line and ready for table play. I think that looks really good. Easy put a CR minimum cap. Oh, okay. Yeah, but that's always kind of an odd, like, arbitration to make. Um, it just never feels quite right whenever I design a feature that you can only benefit from this if the creature's CR is of this value. You know, it's different if it's like you get a companion of this level or something, but like as long as you kill a creature with this CR or higher, then you get this thing. Yeah, I just there would be an easy fix in there like that, but it's an arbitration that we haven't really seen before in anything else. So yeah, with that, I would still say you could just straight up remove that second part of it, and this would still be a really good feature, like really really strong. Okay, so let me get caught up with chat on that one before I move on to the next one. Turn on Dead relies on CR, right, of a CR of a certain level or lower, not a certain level or higher. You're getting 5 uses at most. Where is that adding on to? Is it limited in uses? Oh, that's right, that's right. Oh, wait. Nope, you're right, you corrected me. Blind read through, okay. Number of times equal to your charisma modifier. Okay. So you can still do the Vagarat's exploit. You can still do that. But it is brought more in line. And I think that if your party is abusing this out of combat in any scenario, then like you're already regaining your bardic inspiration on a short rest. So it just sort of feels like you're making for this not functioning as it's intended. Yeah, okay. Actually, I feel like this is pretty okay. I'd be okay with that. Um, yeah, I think if you feel that your party is doing this in a way that it's not intended to, such as the Bag of Rats exploit, then you know maybe just have that talk with them, like, hey, you know how this is supposed to function. You know that like there's certain limitations of the game. Can we please just not use it in that way? I like this subclass. I just not sure, or I'm not sure. I get why it's springtime though. I guess with the narrative of it like being about rejuvenation and yeah, like the other thing that I'm kind of looking at is I guess Cure Wounds does get built up right there at 10th level or 6th level. Yeah, 6th level. It does get that nice perk right there at a 6th level. Petrichor, this is just such a cool effect. I really like this mechanic a lot. Like I said, I was considering doing something like this as a part of the dancer. So, yeah, I'm pretty alright with that. Um, Blooming Repertoire, my only thing is just a personal preference. I'm usually not a big fan of the skill monkey like features, but like I said, Bard's already enough of a skill monkey that I'm kind of whatever with it. But everything else, it just seems like it's enhancing you as a sort of healer bard. Storm Song. Storm Song, I'm alright with. You're just getting more ways that you can use Bardic Inspiration for your Petrichor kind of a feature. Yeah, I'm pretty alright with this one. Cool. Okay. Was wondering why you were limited. Well, yeah, just doing a blind read through like that, there's just sometimes I start thinking, wait, can I use this like that? And then I just forget to consider something else in the feature. So, Child of the Sun Bloodline. There is simplicity in the summer sun, whose light is impossible to overcome. For in what realm could one be bold enough to attempt to tame the sun's great power? Shield yourself from it, and its intensity seems to magnify between your fingers. Hide yourself away, and you only let something else scorch in your place. Attempt to flee from it, and you run forever without once separating yourself from its reach. And in that ever-blazing light, a child of the sun gains their dazzling power. Perhaps your lineage can be traced to outsiders with an affinity for the summer sun, or perhaps you have an ancestor who infused a pure droplet of the season's power into their blood. Regardless of how it came to be, the summer's power has never once diluted and now rises through you into this world with silent and commanding brilliance. Alright, so is it a... So, Summer's Sun. To attempt to tame the sun's power, shield yourself from it, put yourself away, attempt to flee from it, for everyone separating yourself from its reach. So, initial thoughts I'm thinking of for the narrative of this, possibly some radiant and fire stuff tied into revealing truth, possibly some foresight kind of mechanics. Now, this is sorcerer, right? Yeah, sorcerer cantrips. Okay. So, I'm curious about how it's going to distinguish itself from, like, Divine Soul. Praise the sun. Absolutely. Let me check on this real quick. Bardic Inspiration refreshes on a short rest, no need for rats. Yeah, it is giving you more uses of it per combat that other subclasses aren't able to get. And that's such an integral class resource that I worry about this subclass kind of arbitrarily getting more uses of it whenever no other subclass kind of does. But, I mean, with the limited uses, I feel like it's okay. And it's tied to a long rest. Yeah, that's pretty fine. Attack against your wounds. Hey, Julian. Doing some exams. I'll leave the stream on in the background. Hey, I appreciate it. Okay. Cool. Alright, looks like we're caught up. Alright, so, Child of the Sun. Glimpse of the Sun. Beginning at first level, the powers of the Sun awaken in you. You learn the light cantrip, but it doesn't count against the number of sorcerer cantrips you know. When you cast this cantrip, you can designate which creatures within 20 feet of you can perceive the light. Okay. All others cannot see the light created by the cantrip. Huh. When you reach third level, when you have an ongoing light cantrip, you can expend a sorcery point as an action and choose a creature within 20 feet of the light source who can't already see it. The light from your cantrip suddenly flares with dazzling brilliance, and the creature must succeed on a dexterity saving throw against your spell save DC, or be blinded until the end of your next turn. Okay. I'm overall alright with that. You're expending a sorcery point to do this as well. You have to have already cast the light cantrip. Yeah, no, I am more than okay with this. That's actually a really cool enhancement to the light cantrip. Okay, so, let's see that. Bam, let's just, oh, come on. Highlighting in PDS is always kind of frustrating. Designate. This is all so cool. I really like this part of this feature. Glimpse of the Sun is very interesting. I just remember that you introduced me to the best concept of a class. My imagination went wild when I saw you reviewing Oath of Paladins about being a hero. Whatever happened to that? The Oath for Paladins about being... You mean the Oath of Glory? I don't know, yeah, let me know about that. Summer's Defiant Blood. Your blood hums with volatile power, and your racing heartbeat reverberates with arcane energy, making it the perfect conduit for your spells. There we go. Whenever a creature makes an attack roll against you or forces you to make a saving throw... Okay, highlighting mechanical text. You can add your charisma modifier to the damage roll of the next spell you cast before the end of your next turn. You can only benefit from this feature once per round. Okay. Whenever a creature makes an attack roll against you, or forces you to make a saving throw, you can add your charisma modifier to the damage roll of the next spell you cast before the end of your next turn. So, that trigger of something has to attack you or force you to make a saving throw, and then you just get this before the end of your next turn. Overall, I'm pretty okay with that because it comes with that trade-off of like you're getting put at risk to add 3 or 4 or 5 damage to a spell. Overall, I'm really okay with that. And you can only benefit from this feature once per round, so you can't keep adding these to other like spells that you cast. Like if you were able to go and snag Eldritch Blast, this wouldn't just work with that on every damage roll, right? Add your charisma modifier to the damage roll of the next spell you cast before the end of your next turn. And I think that should say once per round. Yeah, so it would only allow you to do that once per round. Okay. I like this. It's just a nice kind of slight spike in power of like, it's a very conditional spike in power. Bag of rats, but now the rat attacks you. No, I don't think it's exploitable that way. No, yeah, because I don't think there's a way to really exploit that. Well, I guess maybe one of your allies can attack you and then cause that to happen, and like they bop you, and then like you take 1, bludgeoning damage, and then you can add your charisma modifier. I just don't think that trade-off is really worth it. Yeah, I don't think that that's exploitable. I actually just think that this is a nice little conditional source of damage that you're going to get. And I mean, creatures are going to constantly be subjecting you to saving throws or attack rolls. So, Summer's Defiant Blood, I'm pretty alright with. If you stare at the sun, it's going to hurt. Yeah, no, it makes sense. It totally makes sense. Julian, that was renamed to Oath of Glory. And I just did a review on that one as it appears in Tasha's. So you can go check that video out. I just put it out like, I think a month or 2 ago. Sunlit Path. The world illuminated and revealed by summer's long days becomes easier for you to traverse. Beginning at 6th level, your walking speed increases by 15 feet, and you gain resistance to radiant damage. Okay, so, and I'll move on to the rest of this here in a second. Resistance to radiant damage is just kind of like not super useful, but like it is a bonus here, right? So I guess in those situations that it comes up, you've got it, but I just don't think it's going to be very useful. Your walking speed increasing by 15 feet, pretty nice. Allows you to position yourself a little bit better and stay in the back line. Additionally, when calculating your overland travel pace for 1 minute, 1 mile, and 1 day, your speed and the speed of any allies you choose within 30 feet of you increases by 100 feet per minute, 1 mile per hour, and 6 miles per day. Huh. That's... Huh. Okay. Overland travel pace for 1 minute, 1 mile, and 1 day. Like... Okay. Overland travel pace. Just overall, this is just overcoming, like, I say overcoming, this is just helping with the, like, exploration pillar of play. And I feel like here in a little bit, like, you're going to have access to teleportation or fly, other means of travel that just aren't really going to be, like, that this won't be super impactful for. But I do think while you have it here at 6th level, you are likely going to just be kind of, either on wagon or on foot. So you will, if your table is tracking overland survival, then I would say that this is going to make an impact. If not, then it's just going to kind of feel like you don't really have anything. But that's more of a problem of DMs that, don't want to track some of the really cool aspects of the game. Sunlighting the pack for the Scream's leader character. Oh yeah, super, totally. Is it better now? Spoil me a bit. I gave it an A. I think that Oath of Glory has... It's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. It's just... I don't know that it stacks up to a whole bunch of the other Paladin options. Yeah. When I read it, it had good and bad and amazing 20th level power. Yeah, if I remember right, there was some playtest feedback that found a way to exploit it. So they did make some change. you don't fully understand overland travel, I need to be making a video on that anyways at some point. So that's something I will cover in the future. Overland travel, especially because we just had Icewind Dale get dropped, a lot of tables are running that, and I think just now discovering, like, oh, we should have been tracking this the entire time we've been playing the game. Because there's a lot of really interesting stuff and, like, just moments that can happen at the table just because of overland travel. So let that breathe at your tables, DMs. Be able to like track the 4-hour passage that goes by. Allow time to just kind of elapse while your characters are walking across your world. Let them take that in. Grasping the Sun. Starting at 14th level, you can unleash summer's sweltering heat against those who would do you harm. When you take damage from a source that you can see, you can use your reaction to reduce the amount of damage by a number equal to your sorcerer level. If the damage was from another creature's melee attack, that creature takes radiant damage equal to your sorcerer level. You know, what I would have liked to have seen out of that is that either fire or radiant damage equal to your sorcerer level, your choice. Just, giving it a nice little tiny variety in there. When you take damage from a source that you can see. Okay. To reduce the amount. So this is a flat 14 right here. That's not bad. Reducing it by 14. It is going to give you a nice little, like, mitigation. If I'm looking at... it needs to be the Dungeon Master's Guide that I'm looking for. Okay. So 14th level, CR 14. A creature is usually going to be capable of dishing out about 87 to 92 damage per round. So, and that's on a lot of creatures that have access to multi-attack or legendary actions. If you're only able to use your reaction to do this once, I think that feature, it's good. I think it actually could have been given out a little bit earlier. Like, ooh. Because, like, I like the idea of what's going on with Sunlit Path. I think with, like, Grasping the Sun, if this was given out a little bit earlier, it would feel better, and then I think at this point, it would just kind of be, like, a nice, here at 14th level, it just kind of feels like, alright, cool. But getting that at 14th level, and then you do the radiant damage as a reaction, I guess that's nice. There's not a ton of creatures that are resistant to radiant damage. Oh, come on. Ow, are you going to be finicky with me? Okay. Bam. That is specifically only against another creature's melee attack. Now, yeah, okay. So, you have to use your reaction here. You don't use your reaction there. Yeah, you were making me kind of consider the action economy usage. Okay. Yeah, overall, I think that's alright. Yeah, take a level of Warlock for Armor of Agathis. Yeah, I'm pretty alright with this. I do think that, and this might just be a fault of, like, Sorcerer, if you were able to even get this at, like, 10th level, and I know that's not Sorcerer Scaffolding, like, I like the narrative of what's going on with, let me give that blue. I just think getting this late feels, it's nice to get that as a reaction, right? You can reduce the damage. You can reduce the damage and then also deal the damage out. So, you know what? I'll change that. This is going to be useful. It's something that you can do as a reaction. Sorcerers do have access to Counterspell and Shield. Okay, hang on. right? They get shield. Is it more worth it to cast that than it is to cast shield? Oh wait, that's the equipment. I need the spell. Okay, sorcerer does get that. I don't know, what would you rather do as a reaction? Because, like, you can take the damage, possibly reduce it, and then dish out this radiant damage. But I feel like this is kind of outclassed by shield. So I think that Grasping the Sun, I'll bring down to blue. It's something different that you can use if you don't have your spell slots. I'll say that. That is something to consider. Bright Zenith. At 18th level, you can expend 6 sorcery points as a bonus action to unshackle your magic from your body, revealing a brilliant and awe-inspiring form. Okay. While in this form, when you use Glimpse of the Sun feature to create a blinding flare, you can affect all creatures of your choice within 40 feet of the light source. You gain blind sight out to a range of 100 feet, and any spell you cast that targets a single creature can affect a creature you can perceive with your blind sight as though you had an unobstructed path to it, provided that the creature is within the minimum or within the normal range of the spell. This form lasts for 1 minute. Alright. Okay. While in this form, let's highlight all this stuff. Within 40 feet of the light source. So this is a big area. So you can blind a ton of creatures with that. Higher level play, you're not usually going up against a ton of like horde clear kind of things. But in that situation, this is here. And it is going to be useful. There are creatures that are immune to the blinding condition, but not as just not a super hyper significant amount. You gain blind sight out to a range of 100 feet, and any spell that you cast that targets at 18th level, this is fine. Like blind sight at 18th level is more than okay. Any spell that you cast that targets a single creature can affect a creature you can perceive as though you had an unobstructed path to it. Okay. Like, that's all really, really remarkable, provided that the creature is within the normal range of the spell. Okay. And the form lasts for 1 minute. I overall think that this is a pretty inline subclass. I don't see really anything that looks egregious. If anything, out of the stuff that we've seen so far, this one feels possibly just a hair weaker than the like College of Springtide Bard. But in general, I think that the Child of the Sun Bloodline is ready for play. Looks solid. And I do like that it's making you think of like overland travel right here. It would have been nice to have just gotten that part of it earlier. Maybe if I was to suggest a change, like Summer's Defiant Blood, it's a unique kind of a mechanic. I think Sunlit Path, I'll probably give that one a blue. Like, if I was to give this one a rating on my table, I would probably give it an A. Summer's Defiant Blood, it's an interesting mechanic. I do think that it might be worth it to move Sunlight Path down, because this is already a really, really cool feature. I think that you can move Sunlit Path down to 1st level. Grasping Sun might be available at 6th level, and I think it would feel a little bit stronger. Just better off for it. They would need a new 14th level feature. But, that's just kind of what I'm thinking if I were writing this and giving some, paid consultant work. But that's just kind of my thought. That's a lot of sorcery points, especially if you want to use the blind. Sorcerers only get a max of 20 sorcerer points and have budget meta magic too. That is something to consider, and I think that kind of roots it more into that A that I'm thinking of. And I do wonder, like, Armor of Agathis, is it worth it to go over there, snag that, and then... Yeah, I mean, you're pretty... You're almost kind of encouraging people to attack you, so I would say that you should go pick up Armor of Agathis with this. It's balanced, but in terms of cool stuff to do, they're the Light Cantrip Flare and the 18th level feature. I might be inclined to agree with that idea. Sunlit Path is a really cool ribbon right here. I do like this. But I think I would have liked it a bit more at first level, and I think that Grasping the Sun, I would have liked a little bit better at 6th level. But yeah, the Horned one. Get a drink before we get into this. Okay, so the Horned one is, I think Clockwork Soul is just possibly the best sorcerer that we currently have in the game right now. Being able to just get Armor of Agathis with them, oh god. Warlock time, love the theme / flavor, but it's another example of yet another class that does what a ranger does, but cooler. Okay. So the Horned one. Fear and apprehension permeate the autumn winds. Lush greens pass to dying oranges. Soft grass turns to prickling leaves, and vibrant life slows towards deathly stillness. Sorry. Hunters ready their tools, wit, and ferocity to seek out food and glory. And it is here, in the season of dispassionate bloodshed, that your patron comes to be. A being of blood and sweat, the Horned One is a proud and harried participant of the thrill of the hunt. For sport, for the survival, many attempt to share in the Horned One's chase. But only those with true determination and courage can endure the autumn hunt and be molded by its power. The Horned One often takes the form of hunted or harried animals, testing would-be warlocks to see if they have the courage to face blood. At other times, they take the form of large and terrifying predator to harry potential warlocks and challenge them to pit fortitude against fear. Those who pass such trials are given the blessing of the autumn hunt, a pact with the Horned One. Silent and patient, the Horned One rarely interferes with the actions of those who receive their favor, and may call upon you one crisp fall day for a hunt of great importance. Until such a time, it is up to you to continue to prove yourself with dangerous prey and grand kills. So, Artemis is like my favorite Greek goddess. I am already super down for the narrative of this. And that artwork is just awesome. I love the three-eyed buck in the back. This is so sick. Who was the artist on this? Interior illustrator. Subclasses of the seasons is Marlowe Loon. Okay. God, man, yeah, knocked it out of the park. Marlowe, great job on these. So, let's get back up into that. Expanded spell list, Horned Hunter, Blessing of the Hunt, Territory of the Harrier, and Autumn Feast. So, starting off here, their expanded spell list, you can get Goodberry and Hunter's Mark. Goodberry is a spell that I personally feel is a little too strong for survival campaigns. I just make it to where, and this is a recommendation from Ziba Shu, I think that spell really needs to consume the mistletoe that is required for it as a material component. If you do that, I feel like Goodberry is mostly in line. On a Warlock, like, being able to do that with a short rest is really freaking good in survival campaigns. So, like, is your table really survival heavy? You're going to get a lot of love out of Goodberry. If not, then just whatever. Hunter's Mark. Hunter's Mark. Wow. So, is Hunter's Mark better to take than Hex? That's the argument to make here. Hunter's Mark is really good. No lie. Hunter's Mark is really, really good. But comparing that to Hex, I just want to refresh myself on the mechanics of it. You choose a creature you can see within range and mystically mark it as your quarry. Until the spell ends, you deal an additional 1d6 damage to the target whenever you hit it with a weapon attack, and you have advantage on any wisdom perception or wisdom survival check you make to find it. If the target drops to 0 hit points before the spell ends, you can use a bonus action on a subsequent turn of yours to mark a new creature. Okay, Hunter's Mark. Compare that to Hex. I'll see why with Hunter's Mark. Okay. So with Hex, you deal an extra 1d6 necrotic damage whenever you hit it with an attack. Also, choose one ability when you cast a spell. The target has disadvantage on ability checks made with the chosen ability. So, oh, this Warlock uses Eldritch Blast in a unique way? Okay. Okay. So, for me, what I'm, just keep that in mind, whenever I'm considering weighing anything against this subclass and why I would pick Hunter's Mark over Hex, that's really what I'm thinking of. Also, yeah, same casting time. Wait, was the range the same? I think it is, yeah. Okay. So that's what I'm thinking of whenever I'm comparing it to Hex. They're going to use the same part of your action economy. Hex is doing some other things on top of it, though, that I just don't know that Hunter's Mark is always keeping track of, or keeping up to pace with. Pass Without Trace is pretty solid. Silence is really nice. Silence is a great way to get rid of some mages. Wait, Warlocks don't get Silence? I thought that they did. Are we learning new stuff today? Bard, Cleric, Ranger, the Undying. Wow. I thought that Warlock got Silence for some reason. Huh. Okay. Non-detection. Phantom Steed. Okay, non-detection is pretty alright. Phantom Steed. I'm trying to think of third level. Phantom Steed, would I rather take that over Bestow Curse? I guess it's interesting for flavor. Alright, it's optional. You don't have to take it. Just pull that one up. But you can flavor this as a deer, like whatever you want. You know, there's Phantom Stud, Phantom Steed. Creature has the statistics for a riding horse. I think, like, it's on a short rest, so I would probably still prepare Bestow Curse, but I guess this is cool, and if there's improvements that you get to it through the subclass, it is tied to a short rest. Yeah. Duration of 1 hour. Okay. Phantom Steed, though, it is going to be fairly situational, so I'm going to give that one blue. Freedom of movement is nice. Locate creature is nice. Let's do bam. Locate creature is one of those spells that, like, it's like I always kind of forget about until someone brings it up at the table, and I'm like, crap, that foiled literally everything I had prepped to do. Mislead is a great spell. Tree Stride is also a fantastic spell. I mean, this expanded spell list, these are all spells I am going to consider taking instead of taking, like, just standard MO Warlock kind of build. Alright. Horned Hunter. Okay, at first level, you're given the tools to take on the proper role in the hunt. You gain proficiency with martial weapons and the stealth skill, and you can use your ranged weapon as a spellcasting focus for your Warlock spells. In addition, you learn the Eldritch Blast cantrip, which doesn't count against the number of Warlock cantrips you know. When you cast Eldritch Blast, you can make each beam you create with the cantrip take the form of an arrow without the need for verbal and somatic components, and immediately fire this arrow from a short bow, longbow, crossbow, or heavy crossbow you are wielding. When used in this way, any benefits of the weapon may confer to the normal ammunition also apply to the magical arrow. For instance, a +1 longbow would confer the +1 bonus to attack and damage rolls made with your Eldritch Blast cantrip. The weapon may be used as a spellcasting focus for all Warlock spells, but only grants its bonus to the Eldritch Blast cantrip. Wow, that's a lot of text there. Okay. So, I'm very much of the belief that Eldritch Blast is so core to Warlock that like it just needed to be given to the class. So despite this not being a big like it's just not something we're really used to seeing, and I don't know how it's like. I think it's something that's given to you in order for everything else to work. So when you cast it, you can make each beam you create with, okay, take the form of an arrow without the need. Okay, hang on. So this is not using the attack action. This is still using the cast a spell action. Hunter's Mark only works with weapons. Eldritch Blast isn't a weapon attack. Horn Hunter doesn't seem to change that either. Hang on. Okay, because this is very experimental. When you cast Eldritch Blast, like, okay, so this part of here is already really, really good. I mean, you're getting Eldritch Blast for free, and I think a lot of Warlocks are already going to get that. Getting it for free, though, is something to keep in mind. When you cast Eldritch Blast, so is it multi-attack? Any benefits from the weapon may confer to normal ammunition also apply to the magical arrow. Okay. Huh. So this is kind of the flavor that we were hoping to get out of Arcane Archer. Like, rules as intended, I'd ignore the contrary. It's obviously intent that it should work, but I'd allow it. Oh, right. Wait, so Hunter's Mark. Let me look. Whenever you hit it with a weapon attack. I would say that, yes, this is very much intended to work that way. And because whenever you cast Eldritch Blast, okay, sorry, it's going to take me a second to process this one because it's an experimental kind of a thing. Okay, so it doesn't increase the damage, it looks like. Like, it doesn't instead deal the damage of the weapon. And the way that I'm looking at that, I don't know that it's in that rules as written, it would work with Hunter's Mark. But it is very clearly intended to do so. So I would say that if it got some kind of a text, does it get anything later? No. Okay. It needs some kind of a text to stipulate that. But we know that that's how that's supposed to be intended to work. I will say, though, it does work with Hex. I mean, you know, maybe mechanically it doesn't work that well with... yeah, maybe mechanically it's not working super well with Hunter's Mark. Rules as written, yeah, I would hand wave that. But it does work with Hex, so yeah. Okay. So this just feels like there's a way for you to get magical weapons that can enhance Eldritch Blast. And these can still benefit from the different invocations that you get. So it's relying on your DM's willingness to give out magic items to enhance your Eldritch Blast. Yeah. Okay. I'm pretty okay with this. Martial weapons in the stealth skill, you can use ranged weapon as your spellcasting focus for your warlock spells. Pretty much everything I think would be intended to make that work. And I'm already envisioning a completely different kind of warlock than what we would usually consider. Yeah, everything else about this would be purple. I think that this is just a really great, really great first level feature for him. Wow. Okay. Bam. Alright. Blessing in the Hunt. At 6th level, the hunt feeds and rewards you for each creature you slay. Each time you kill a creature with a CR of 1 or higher. Okay. So see, this is what I mean by we're not used to seeing this kind of wordage in like 5e. Um, if there's a wording that I feel is pretty pleasing, I'm all here for it. Each time you kill a creature with a CR of 1 or higher, your melee and ranged attacks deal an extra 1d4 damage for the next 10 minutes. Additionally, after killing a creature with a CR of 1 or higher, you no longer have to eat or drink that day. Oh, that's actually kind of cool. Okay. Huh. Each time you kill a creature with a CR 1 or higher. Well, okay, is that meant... So, it's meant to overcome the Bag of Rats exploit, right? And are you going to be able to just massively keep on chaining these reliably over the next 10 minutes? Maybe only in like a siege where like you gotta literally mow down a military and then like this keeps increasing and whatnot. I don't think it's really reasonable that that's gonna happen in most situations. And like, are you always going to be able to just one shot a CR1 character? I don't believe that that's going to be the case until probably later on. So I think that this is mostly okay. Like, I feel like that's pretty alright. And then additionally, after killing a creature with a CR1, this is such a funny ribbon right here. I love that. I adore that. It does feel actually kind of thematic to it too. So Blessing in the Hunts, like you're straight up just dealing more damage with your attacks. 1d4 additional damage with every attack that you deal afterwards. If you're doing this with Eldritch Blast, this is... Wait a minute. If that's every instance of Eldritch Blast, that can get to be pretty nuts. That can get to be pretty nuts. But I do think that it's kept a little in check by the CR1 or higher stipulation. Yeah, with Hunter's Mark or Hex already in the mix, that, and then the fact that Eldritch Blast is separate bolts. Like, here you're only doing 2 of the bolts, right? So 2d4 damage, increasing your damage output, right? If that's how that's intended to function, ooh, that is good. It's going to work out with... Yeah. Okay, that's how it looks. Blessing in the Hunt is an interesting opposite to Dark One's Blessing. Yeah. Why does it require you to land the killing blow, or can... Oh. Yes, it does. It requires that you have to kill the creature. With a feature like that, I tend to waive it as a DM, as in, like, it's part of your participation. And in that case, it's a lot more reliable that you can get that. So it's like, but it has to be something that you're actively trying to kill. It's not like I'm going to go back through and think, well, you helped to cause the sequence of events that led to this creature's death or whatever. Nah. But with the Glory, it's still okay. It's still all right. I think that the UA version, well, and I don't know that the UA version was super totally in line, but I'd have to look back on that on another day. So, Territory of the Harrier. At 10th level, you've learned to emulate fellow predators and their tactics. As an action, you can declare a number of 5-foot square spaces on the ground equal to your Constitution modifier to be trapped. Hang on. Constitution modifier. Each trap space must be within 30 feet of you and cannot be further than 30 feet apart from another trap space. Okay. The first time a creature enters the trap space, it must make a dexterity saving throw against your spell save DC as spectral claws and thorns burst from the ground. On a failed save, the creature takes 2d10 force damage, and its walking speed is halved for 1 minute. On a successful save, it takes half its damage and its speed isn't reduced. Okay, a space remains trapped until it is triggered. Okay. Wait. You're getting... Okay, okay. And that wording was just kind of tricky to me. A space remains trapped until it's triggered. You regain uses of this feature. You use this feature again, or 8 hours pass. You can use this feature 3 times, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Okay. Oh wait, crap. That's not what I meant to do. There we go. Okay. So, you do this as an action. I would say, most likely, you know that this is coming up, so you're probably going to have possibly 3 different spaces that you can trap. Okay. I do like this cool network that they're building with these traps. Now, I can't help but mention... Hang on. This works out really well with Bestow Curse. Yeah. You can give it disadvantage on the ability checks. Now, it also has another effect. Okay. So you can deal the extra 1d8 necrotic damage to it. I think that this is mostly okay. Like, there are ways, like, okay. This isn't a weapon attack, so it's not going to benefit from either Hex or Hunter's Mark. And its walking speed is halved. God, that's some really great control, which you're going to want out of this. You know, I don't see a lot of character options that are about the hunt, kind of going in the more control kind of a play style. Its walking speed is half for 1 minute. There's other ways that you can reduce that, like with Lance of Lethargy. If you just have its speed and then pop it with Lance of Lethargy, like, that thing is not going to be able to move. It is only its walking speed. There's a lot of creatures at this level and above that have other movement speeds that they can use, or that they are most likely going to use. But walking speed, I mean, it's remarkably common. I think that this feature is going to come into play a lot, and it is something you're going to consider using with your action as opposed to just using Eldritch Blast all the time. And it remains trapped for 8. So you can set this up before a combat is coming. You can ambush people. This is encouraging you to roleplay out of combat. I do really like this feature. Territory of the Harrier, pretty sick. Alright, final one. Okay, Autumn Feast. All creatures of the hunt grow strong from bloodshed, and you are no exception. Beginning at 14th level, you score a critical hit with an attack from Eldritch Blast on a 19 or 20. Additionally, when you score a critical hit against a creature, you regain a number of hit points equal to your level. Okay. Alright, hang on. So, you score a critical hit with an attack from Eldritch Blast on a roll of 19 or 20. You can roll Eldritch Blast a significant number of times here. Okay, so 10% chance. What is it? Somebody in chat that's really good with math. Okay, 10% chance, 4 different bolts that you can get this out of. Because there are ways to guarantee critical hits. And... Is this a way for you to just get infinite healing? That I don't super know. Because, like, even with the different conditions, right? Here we go. Oh, come on. Morty. Okay, blinded. No. trying to remember what the ways were where it's like every hit's a critical hit. There are ways that you can guarantee advantage. I mean, if you multi-class that, wait, no, it's Eldritch Blast, so it's used with the cast a spell. Wait, hold up. There's ways that you can get a lot of advantage. You score a critical hit with it, it's gonna double the damage. Okay. If you have ways to fish for crits with that, that's looking really good. And a natural multi-class for that looks like, yeah, I mean unconscious, but like, well, wait. Yeah, I don't think there's necessarily ways to break that in an exploitable way. But my mind's going over here to Samurai. But that's only weapon attack rolls. So, Eldritch Blast is still as a cantrip. Despite the fact that you make an attack with it, like with the bow, right? That's your spellcasting focus. Hold person does, okay, yeah. Hold person, that is blowing a resource to do that. I think most likely that creature is going to be either dead or very pissed at you at the end of all that. 4-shot Eldritch Blast. Okay, thank you. Wait, is that with the 10%? Is that with a crit of 20 or a crit of 19 to 20? I don't know. That would be... Critting at least once. Okay. I don't think it's very reliable. In a good way. It doesn't need to be reliable. These are both crazy awesome. Crazy good. It's a nice little pepper on top of everything else that you're getting with this. Autumn Feast, and I think crit enhancement just feels very in line with what you would want out of the hunt. It seems like that's what a lot of video games like to go with. Because Artemis and Hades is all about, like, giving you crit-based boons. So, crit of 19 or 20. Okay, thank you. So, 35% chance on that. Increased even higher if you have advantage on the attack, or if you're able to just guarantee the crit. So, that last part of it is, like, the only thing I'm not a big fan of is just the guaranteed Eldritch Blast. That's just kind of my thought. I know that it's required to make everything else work. But if you don't mind that so much, then like this is going to be totally fine to allow on your tables. Everything here is pretty damn strong. Very cool control, stuff that's happening with their 10th level. I think it might have been even cooler to have given them some of those control or illusion kinds. Well, you get mislead. Some more of the control stuff from the ranger over here, possibly, or just druid. There's usually a lot of overlap anyways. So, I do like this a lot. Is it stepping on ranger's toes? It does feel like it's a slightly more interesting ranger. I don't know, with Hunter's Mark just doesn't seem like it is working with this subclass as it's supposed to. So maybe maybe some of the features were just rewritten in a way to where Hunter's Mark could benefit from them. Then, yeah. I don't know. Y'all have any questions? Because I guess I can go over my final thoughts and then I can wrap up this stream. Looking at these right now, I think that the Order of Hibernation, this one needs some trimming. It really does. I think that Wrathful Conduit and Winter Reserves, these last parts of these just need to get probably axed, honestly. I don't see any other through line tying it into coldness at all. If it was about hibernation, maybe even like, you know, it talks about we're saving energy. Is that the root of it? For this being part of a seasonal supplement, I think that there could have been a little bit more given to you to help root it into winter in that way. College of Springtide is super solid. I love that subclass. That looks pretty cool, just as a sort of healer, very super hyper buff kind of support bard. Um, Child of the Sun Bloodline, overall, I'm pretty okay with. I think out of all of the four, it's probably, in terms of just raw like power, I think probably the only somewhat lacking one. Like I said, I would probably give this one either an A or a B on my rating list. And then the Horns one, this is an interesting new take on what would happen if you got your powers from a like deity of the hunt. That's not always going to be an Arcfey in that sense. So this is a really interesting idea. I'm all here for the different Warlock subclasses getting an augmented way that they can use a certain cantrip. That's a pretty signature way that I've been designing Warlock subclasses. So I like this mechanic. This Horned Hunter looks really cool. And I think that this idea of you get Eldritch Blast as a freebie cantrip, it doesn't bug me way too much. Like, yeah. Um, did I notice that Bestow Curse isn't a Warlock spell? Wait, what? Oh wait, that's right, because it's Cleric. Hang on. I think we had this discussion before. That's right, it's not. Because, what was the reason for this? Oh, because you can potentially cast this up to where its duration is 8 hours, and because your spell slots refresh on a short rest, that's offering you a less reasonable amount of power. It's the same reason why you can't get Animate Dead as a Warlock spell. It just can't. It's an invocation. Thank you. Okay, I was like, wait, Warlock can do this. Oh, hey, AJ. Yeah, you're catching the very last of this one. Um, we had a character that was like that, and I reflavored Eldritch Blast as shooting from an Eldritch foe. This doesn't really get anything out of using an actual bow. Well, except that if you get a magical bow, then it confers that bonus onto your Eldritch Blast shots, which I do like. Um, I do wonder, any benefits of the weapon that would confer to normal ammunition also apply to the magical arrow. Does that mean spells? I wonder if that's the case. Hey, we can't remember everything in this game. I know I certainly don't. Um, if that benefits from spells, oh boy. I mean, yes, Marauder the Pack Keeper is pretty sick, but like, man, the flavor that this one is giving you is just really killer. The Drayden. Oh, I just uploaded a video for patrons and subscriber members that were released tonight. Oh, cool. Wait, what are the Drayden? Does Swift Quiver combo with this? I don't believe so. Because Swift Quiver grants it to specific Swift Quiver. Yeah, no, it's only the quiver, so it produces a supply of non-magical ammunition. So it wouldn't affect your, like, Eldritch Blast cantrip. How to run a your rolling counter. Oh, right on. Oh, okay. Oh, that's... You know, actually, that might... You know, I've got a character in my Icewind Dale campaign that might help out a lot with figuring out their, like third tier play storyline. That would be pretty cool. Okay. Huh. Any player who wants to be over Arcane Archer. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Arcane Archer needs some help. We all know it. We all know it. But yeah, these are overall pretty great offerings. The only one that I think is kind of a weak point for me is going to be this Hibernation Wizard. Um, yeah, I'm not really feeling this one all that much. The College of Springtide might be, I think, the strongest out of all of these, not just in terms of the, how do I put it, the reasonable power. Not just in terms of that, but also just like the narrative through line of it. I really dig that. Child of the Sun Bloodline. As I said, I'd probably give this one either an A or a B on my rating table if I were doing so. The 6th and 14th level features I just feel are a little undertuned. And then the Horned one, overall, I really dig this. If you have a character that wants to go with this concept, this is going to totally work out for you. Um, I just think, like, artistically, if I'm looking at this and we're doing some consulting work, like, I think that this is honestly all just comes down to a fault of D&D 5e, where, like, not every Warlock just gets Eldritch Blast by default, and I kind of wish that they would, so that way a arbitration like this didn't have to get written in. Any player? Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, you couldn't, but you're getting. I mean, the ammunition that you're firing is Eldritch Blasts. I mean, that's pretty nasty. Legolas is a rogue with lots of acrobatics expertise. You know, when your Warlock asks you what they just read in that slime cooked tome that drove their character insane, well, this is the video you linked them to. Oh, dude, this is probably like this is just gorgeous layout work. As a graphic designer and layout artist, they have knocked Arcadia out of the freaking park every time. Yeah, Jen McCleary, fantastic work on this. Jesus. Yeah, some of the other names that are on here. Wolf, Jason Hasanover. Who are some of the other writers? It said on here, right? Managing. Okay, authors. Oh, Mackenzie! Hey! I actually played on a stream with her. Well, she was my DM for a session. Yeah, really great creator out there in the scene. A fantastic DM. I remember in that session she had an NPC that was a little clockwork bird, and like just yeah, the way that she was just sort of like doing the small little gestures it just added so much flavor to that character. Really great creator. Awesome. Glad to know. What's she writing here? Periodic table of elementals. Oh, that's great. 4 elementals that make encounters explode with possibility. The Well of Lost Gods. Ooh, what? Okay. Nova elementals. Ooh, what? Oh, this artwork though. Jeez, man. Okay, this is better than some of the like official book artwork I've seen. Like, holy crap, these are just so solid. Man. Well, the Lost Gods. Ah, okay. Ooh. Excuse me, what? They even have like this kind of quality artwork for the like DM aids and everything? Yeah, I'm trying to skim through here quickly not to spoil anything. Oh. Man, okay. That is sick nasty. Yeah, Mackenzie. Oh, that is so sick. Okay. So yeah, this has been just a look through and my kind of breakdown and thoughts on the different subclasses that appear in Arcadia. Again, you can go pick this up over on MCDM. So go support them over on Patreon. They're making some really cool content. I mean, this just getting put out every month or so. We're not used to seeing a handout of this kind of quality that is just kind of thrown out there. Like, oh, this is great. I love this. And I really hope it encourages some other people to like, take the initiative to, yes, I want to learn Adobe InDesign. I want to do like, I hope that people look at this as a sign of I need to up my game. I need to further myself as a creator because I've seen something like this and what they are putting out. Just putting in the work to learn that kind of software it's going to go a long way. Let me look at some of the chat for about another like 5 minutes, and then I'm probably going to call it a night. Honestly, I wish Horn Hunter focused on range packed weapons rather than E-Blast. Range, I can see that. I can see that argument. There was someone told me about a bow after I did my Arcade video that was in some of the Unearthed Arcana called the Moon Bow, and it was a unique pack weapon that you could get as an Arcfey. Only really appeared in an Unearthed Arcana, and they cut it because they just didn't want to go with like subclass specific invocations. So I was like, man, that is such a missed opportunity though. Like, oh, the Moonbow was just a really cool like piece of like flavor flair. Periodic tables of elementals is awesome. Look at that metal crystal. Yeah, exactly, right? A lot are asking for that in their Discord server. Oh, I hope they Kickstarter a hardback anthology of these and the best of articles when they complete a trial run of issues. Oh yeah, absolutely. Um, I think even this, it's not too late to make a few little edits to, just another quick pass. I mean, I think that there's small typos in here. Like, I don't know who's editing on this one. Oh, Hannah Rose. Okay. Um, yeah, there's a few little typos in here that they could correct. I think just a little balance pass on the order of hibernation would go a long way. And I think all of these would actually be real solid. Yeah. And if they did that, a collaborative, whatever, hardback, then it's like they could just take all these subclass options and present them just as a, Arcadia character option folio, and that would be really sick. Arcadia needs to become a household. I think it's slowly becoming that. With a lot of the YouTubers already covering this, I think it's on its way to being there. I'm sorry, was that a bismuth elemental? Yeah, no, for real. These elemental creatures are themed around elements of the periodic table. Yeah. Uh, the new Dragon magazine. Yeah, because there wasn't a whole lot of content in Dragon magazine that I felt was like really throwing me in here lately. I even picked up the Dragon Annual or the Dungeons and Dragons Annual book, and was like extremely underwhelmed with that thing. It was just like a coloring book and like reprints of artwork that we've already gotten in other books, and I yeah, I don't know. I felt like they could have done a lot more with that book, especially to go through the process of like hardback printing like that. Yeah, that felt a little meh. Moonbow became improved pack weapon. Wait, really? Was that a thing? I mean, I don't know that it got completely. It's not optional, right? This is just a. Yeah. So it's not quite the same. Moonbow had a whole lot of other stuff to it that was really really cool. You could expend spell slots to enhance the damage you did with a weapon. Uh, the weapon gains a +1 bonus to its attack and damage rolls. Okay. Can be a short bow. Yeah, right. Um, But yeah, Moonbow had some nice perks on top of it, and the damage could become radiant if you so chose, but it was specific to only the Arcfey that could get it. So yeah, there was just a little bit of flavor lost on that one. Um, Dragon became more like a weird dragon slash dungeon hybrid, and it just became sad. I miss RPG magazines being print, but magazines in general died over a decade ago. Somewhat agreed. Um, there people are still wanting to buy physical versions of books. You know, I don't think that art has completely gone out. Unearthed Arcana is now what Dragon basically used to be for. You know what? Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, there's always going to be people that just want the physical copies. Um, but that was my thing with Arcadia was I thought it would be even cooler to have this as a physical book. Um, but I can see it being a lot better if they go through this process of like, yeah, we're gonna release these options, see what people think, and then maybe we're gonna put it all into a book later on down the line. I think that would be really cool. You'd have a lot of character options in there, a lot of adventures, a lot of dungeon master help, monster stat blocks. That could be sick. If that were just like a yearly thing that they did, oh man, I would insta buy that. So, oh, all right, my throat is shot. So, 2 streams in a day. Woo! So, thank you guys for being there, being here, hanging in there with me. Yeah, let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Like I said, you can go check this out over on MCDM's Patreon. Um, support Matt Colville. A lot of really cool stuff that he keeps putting out. Really dig Colville's work. Seems to be like just doing this for the sake of the fun of the game. And yeah. Like Cobalt Press's Grimoire book, it compiled their Patreon. Oh, okay. Oh, you know, yeah, I need to get around to doing all that. Anyways, guys, yeah, thank you all so much for being here. Hope you all are staying safe, staying warm, staying healthy, and I can't wait to see you guys